You are not communicating properly.
She's feeling herself. That's what she's doing. We're not going to play a video game right now, but we're really...
No, we can't even play a video game. We die.
Right, we die. Baldur's Gate 3, we die a lot, and it's a different game than you or I are used to, I think, overall.
I'm not used to any games.
We don't play...
But yes, okay,
taken.
let's learn. Let's learn.
So this is a guy, I think, Wolfheart. He just released this video yesterday. It's Ultimate Beginner's Guide to Combat.
Okay, I'm a beginner.
So we're gonna listen to him and see if we can get some pointers, and maybe we will die less or be able to actually finish this game someday. Let's see.
We already went over the basics for gameplay mechanics, so in today's video, let's focus in on combat and make you a knowledgeable, well-oiled fighting machine. So we don't really have to get into the behind-the-scenes roles and calculations too much to get a good understanding of how combat works, as Larian Studios has made it fairly simple. Let's start off with first addressing what powers your attacks. If you're using a ranged weapon, the game is going to use your dexterity modifier to power your shots. And the higher that your dexterity
I already
modifier
don't know what dexterity
is, the more likely you are to hit your target and also deal more damage.
Oh.
For melee weapons, the game will use your strength modifier. However, there is an exception here, and these are called finesse weapons. If we take a look at the scimitar right here, you can see that it's labeled finesse, and this means that the game will use whatever modifier is higher for you between strength and dexterity. For spellcasters, their spells will be powered by their spellcasting ability modifier. So wizards, intelligence, bards, sorcerers, paladins, and warlocks, charisma, and druids, rangers, and clerics are powered by their wisdom modifier. So you definitely want a high modifier in the ability score that represents your style of play or class or build. And generally speaking, it's a good idea to get that ability score to at least a 16 in character creation, which will give you a +3 modifier right at the start of the game.
Pause it.
Let's take aim at an enemy now and start with a ranged weapon.
So do I need to go back and look at my...
Well, we'll look at our stats. We're not going to recreate our characters. We'll just see...
So we're screwed.
Well, you can get level ups.
Okay.
Astarion is currently aiming his bow at this bandit. You can see above this guy's head is a number which tells you your percentage chance for landing that shot.
The only thing I knew.
Astarion has a 65% chance of hitting this target with his arrow. Now this number only represents whether or not your shot will hit or land. It has nothing to do with the damage that it may deal. The higher that your modifier is, and in this case the game will be using Astarion's dexterity modifier because we're using a ranged weapon, the higher that percentage chance will be. It's also important to ensure that you're using weapons that your character is proficient with, as your proficiency bonus will also increase your chance to hit alongside your ability score modifier. Now all characters' proficiency bonus is +2 until you reach character level 5 where it goes up to a +3, and then at character level 9 it increases to
I just need to know how to kill people.
You don't really have to keep track of that number though, but taking advantage of that bonus is huge. And to see what weapons that your character is proficient with, simply press tab, go to the character sheet, click on the detailed view, and then look underneath the proficiency bonus column. If you scroll your mouse over simple weapons and martial weapons, it'll give you a list of all the weapons that character is proficient with. Now,
every character weighs 150 pounds in this game.
Paladin get proficiency in all
That's how much they can carry,
and martial
I think.
weapons, so you never have to worry about your proficiency bonus
carrying capacity
with those classes
No,
because
I guess they do all weigh 150.
use, you'll be getting that bonus
That's
with.
right.
Also, when selecting a weapon, at the bottom of that weapon's description, if you see this yellow triangle exclamation point, it's telling you that you're not proficient with that weapon for that particular character, so you won't be getting that proficiency bonus. Now, if you do want to see the behind-the-scenes calculations, simply click on your combat log and you'll notice that there is an attack roll where the game assigned you a random number between 1 and 20, added your proficiency bonus, and also added your ability score modifier, and then put that up against your target's armor class number, of which you must get equal to or greater than for your attack to land. So having a high ability modifier in the correct ability and also using weapons that you're proficient in is the most foundational way to ensure that you're getting the best chance to hit your target. On a similar subject, you're also going to want to wear armor that your character is proficient with. Because if you wear armor that you're not proficient in, especially as a spellcaster, if I put medium armor on Gale right here, it grays out all of my spells. And this also includes helms that you may wear, and also gloves and boots, so make sure to look at their description. Martial classes that wear armor that they're not proficient in, such as Astarion wearing medium armor right here, will have disadvantage on their rolls, so really important to know.
I mean, so far all it's really saying is
combat begins,
use weapons you're proficient with and maximize your main stat.
That you can implement to get that number even higher.
Pretty.
For example, simply hiding Astarion here in the shadows increases that 65%
I want to know like what we're supposed to do. Okay, so he hides.
88% chance
so if he hides, he gets better.
That
See,
is a huge boost right there, and it simply comes from taking a shot.
I like very rarely miss.
As you can see underneath the 88% chance to hit, it says advantage.
Oh,
and basically what that means is your character gets 2 rolls behind the scenes to attempt to land their attack, instead of 1 behind the scenes roll.
So crouch down.
2 rolls and the game taking the better result is called
attack from hidden
advantage. There are many other ways to gain advantage on your attacks. If you attack a prone enemy with a melee weapon with your melee attack, you'll have advantage. Using the sleep spell on an enemy will cause them to lay down. Throwing grease at your opponent's feet may cause them to slip and fall prone. There's plenty of spells and class features that may offer your party members to have advantage on their attacks, so make sure to read all of your spells and attacks descriptions. For example, Guiding Bolt right here, which is a cleric spell, deals radiant damage, but it also makes it so that the next attack roll against that target has advantage. So if you land a Guiding Bolt, whatever character attacks that opponent next will have a greatly increased chance of landing their attack. If you notice that you have disadvantage on your attack, which will show your percentage chance to hit in red.
Trying to. How are you doing?
Try to, at the very least, nullify that.
Normal.
Right now, Astarion is out of range with his bow. So if I simply walk up a few feet, disadvantage goes away, and my percentage chance to hit goes from 42% up to 65%. Other ways that you may find yourself having disadvantage include shooting a ranged weapon with a melee combatant in your face. Or perhaps trying to shoot
an enemy. That was like when you were trying to shoot at someone who was really close.
Lighting up that area with spells or cantrips, or
when did they get to the pushing part?
Or lighting up braziers in the area can help you get rid
You're
of
an expert. You're a
That's
pro.
my skill.
There are also spells that work in a very similar way to martial weapons, such as the cantrip Firebolt. As you can see right here, Gale has a 60% chance of hitting this character named Gimblebach. And just like with Astarion and his bow shot, if I hide Gale in the shadows and take the shot, that 60% goes up to 84%. Other ways to get that hit chance higher include attacking from high ground. Take a look at this battleground right here.
Attacking from high ground.
I have the opportunity to start the battle with my party on the high ground, or at least my ranged characters on the high ground. I'm going to take that opportunity. As you can see, I have a Astarion on the high ground right here.
Yeah.
Because then what, you can attack and not get hit?
When hiding in the shadows on even ground has now gone up to 94%. Having high ground over your opponents
88,
adds a
94,
+2
you're not
to the
gonna
behind-the-scenes
miss.
roll, which is a pretty significant
94 is way
boost.
better than 88.
There's also
I
plenty
know,
of
but I
spells
never.
in the game that
You
can help
barely
boost a
miss in
character's
this
chance
game.
of landing their
I
attack,
think they put
such
too much
as Bardic
emphasis on that.
Inspiration, which is a bard
They
class
made it just
feature,
like D&D.
or a cleric spell called Bless. As you can see
All
right
the
here, I'm
rules.
casting Bless on Astarion, and his percentage chance to hit goes from 65 to 75% simply from that spell. Now, the reason why different targets of yours may have different percentage chances to hit is because each opponent has their own armor class number, as well as each of your party members having their own numbers depending on the armor that they are wearing and their dexterity modifier, unless wearing heavy armor. A medium armor also has a limit of adding a +2 max that can be added to your armor class from your dexterity modifier. There's also certain spells in the game, such as Shield of Faith, and if I were to cast Shield of Faith on Gale, you can see that his armor class number now goes up by 2. And this will remain like that as long as Shadowheart can maintain
Gale's
her
the
concentration
druid, I think. That's
on
the
Shield
druid
of
we're
Faith
trying
spell.
to recruit.
Now, taking a look at these two opponents, the gnome has an AC of 14, and the half-elf has an AC of 13.
Yeah, we're not to
this
this part yet.
This is why Astarion's ranged attack has a 5% difference from the gnome to the half-elf. Now, before we get into damage, there's also different types of spells that don't actually do an attack roll on an enemy, which is everything that we just talked about. But instead, these spells will force their target, or targets, to do something called saving throws. If your opponent succeeds on this save, which is a behind-the-scenes roll, your spell may be mitigated or even outright denied. These types of spells tend to cause some sort of effect rather than just smacking into an opponent. So with the attack rolls that we previously talked about, we're attacking an enemy and trying to overcome their armor class. But with these types of spells, enemies are actually doing the rolling here, and they're trying to overcome our spell's power. No need to get into how that number is calculated, just know that your ability score modifier is added to your spell's power. So once again, the higher that modifier is,
I think this is just helping me internalize that a battle is something different than what I thought it was. I thought a battle is just shoot 'em up. I like to just shoot 'em up quick and move on. That is not what this game is.
No.
So I need to focus. I actually need to go look at my game skills,
to try to force this opponent to drop
see what I can do, crouch down, take the high ground, really
making effect.
Value that 88 to 94% increase. All the stuff.
You're getting wow. That was a good summary.
Wisdom save.
I wonder if he's going to give us some tricks.
I need tips and tricks.
That's
tips
what I want.
And tricks.
Tips and tricks, right? Like what's some stuff we can do?
Right. What are the secrets?
Yeah.
Because now I'm saying I'm finally getting caught up with the basics.
Which is a 0 modifier. My chance for success
we're gonna
at
continue
60%.
deal
damage.
If this guy had a 16 in wisdom, though, with a +3 modifier,
initiative,
command would likely
probably this last stuff will be a little bit of tips and tricks.
But perhaps another opponent on the battlefield has a lower wisdom. Now, you don't have to look into every opponent's scores, as you can just look at the percentage.
And then also,
chance
I
of
guess
success,
it's important
and
just
then
take anyone you can with you. Like never don't take
off of
a full party.
Right, just take the people.
You need those people.
Yeah, even if they're sassy, even if they give you like a little bit of
damage that your
attitude, just take them with.
Shadowheart's Mace, for example, will give me an
so then
RNG,
basically, like you have to learn 2 characters and I have to learn 2 characters.
In D&D terms, that is broken down by her weapon rolling one
we should probably try to stick with like the same, just so we know how to use them.
To that result. Her crossbow is between 2 and 9 damage, or 1 8-sided die, 1d8 plus her strength modifier. If we take a look at my main character, who is wielding this great burning sword, my damage is between 6 and 19, because it's adding in the extra fire damage that this sword
He likes long hair. He's got a pony in real life, too.
An attack, the game will then do the behind-the-scenes damage roll, but you have to actually land the attack.
He's holding
first.
that sword that's on fire with his
He's a wolf elf, did it say?
To your damage. So with the sword right
He's
here,
half
you
my
can see
kind.
that it
wood
says
elf, yeah.
2d6
a wood
the sword
elf.
has a base damage of 2d6,
I'm not a wood elf.
which
I'm something
translates
else.
to 2 to 12 damage. But I'm also getting
You're a high elf.
automatic +3 from my strength modifier added to that, because melee weapons use strength. And then, of course, the 1d4 fire damage is being added to that overall number, and that's 1 to 4 damage. So that makes the sword's range of damage a minimum of 6 and a maximum of 19. However, don't forget, if you do score a critical hit, which means you roll
it does kind of look like all those men weigh 150 pounds.
Your sword's base damage will be doubled. If that confused you, no worries. Just know that the lowest number showing on your weapon or spell is the lowest amount of damage that you can do if your attack actually lands. And the highest number is the max amount of damage that you can deal if the RNG goes perfectly. He doesn't look like a golfer to me. Now on to a few more quick things, and then we'll wrap this video up.
Why would he be a golfer?
Every round of combat, each character gets
an action, which
is represented by this green circle, a bonus action represented by this orange triangle, and a reaction. And if you have a reaction toggled on, it will show on the far right side, right on the top of your hotbar. Your action is typically the main thing that you do. Your weapon's regular attack costs an action. Most spells cost an action to use. Throwing items costs an action, and so on. Your bonus action can be used to do things such as drinking a potion. You can shove enemies.
So you have your first, you have your first,
that's shove.
You have your first move, and then you have a bonus action.
Yeah. Skills that can be used.
So like shove is a bonus.
Yeah, but it doesn't really help.
In this game, only occurs
look, he's gonna push this guy off. Look at this.
This is when it could help.
Yeah, you could push him right off, and he would fall down if it works.
Oh, I've been shoving on flat ground.
Turn. For example, if it's an enemy's turn and they decide to simply walk away from you, and you have a melee weapon out, you can use your reaction to smack them. Now, if you press K and go to the third tab, which is the Reactions tab, you can actually set your reactions to automatically go off by having the circle on the left checked. You can also set it to where the game will have a pop-up box pop right up in front of you, asking you if you want to use your reaction.
I like that. I should do that
in that particular moment.
But then could you change your reaction?
Now, some
well, yeah, because maybe there's 2 enemies that are going to move by you, and you can choose which one you want to attack. If you just have it automatic, then you'll just do the first one.
Arsenal, such as the shield spell for some casters.
Meet your next pillow. Why do we make our pillow in the shape of a cube?
I don't know.
That's a really valid
The problem
question.
with pillows is that you're trying to fit a
Why do you?
round peg into a square hole, or rather a pillow-shaped peg into a shoulder-shaped hole. This is Sydney.
Hello.
We're like
The space
watching the
between
pillow
her head.
commercial.
Well, I'm interested.
I kind of am
Rounded
too.
pillows are going to fit that space perfectly. They're going to cause her to bend her neck, flop her body, and twist her back out of alignment. What Sydney needs is a pillow that properly supports her neck and keeps her spine in alignment.
You're kidding me.
Hence, the pillow cube. The ancient
Well-
Egyptians knew this. Pharaohs used this headrest. The Japanese used these pillow boxes. They offered great support, but were they comfortable? Alex, is that comfortable?
No.
So we decided to modernize their invention.
Wow, I don't hate it.
Fill that shoulder gap,
Actually, I'm
optimized
slightly
for support,
interested.
Is it?
comfort, and
How
cooling.
different is
You
it
can
just
roll
from a
side
thicker
to side
pillow,
for
though?
uninterrupted side sleeping. Want to go old school? Try the original pillow cube.
How much
It's
is it?
not
I'll
just a
tell
great
you.
pillow for sleep. Try it out on the airplane.
Like it just
Use
looks
it
like a
for
thicker
office
pillow.
naps, or as a yoga support.
Yeah, it's
It's
a cube.
also a great
Yeah.
meditation seat. It provides excellent lumbar support, and it's the perfect pillow for spooning. So stop wasting all your money on these fancy new mattresses and get the pillow that will support your noggin.
Whether you want the ultimate bed experience with the Pillow Cube Pro,
I don't know.
or
His head looked a
travel-friendly
little bit
original
angled
It's got a
there.
real like
We give
startup
you a
vibe to
Pillow
it,
Cube
doesn't it?
guarantee
It does.
that your shoulder gap will be filled, your spine will be aligned.
All right,
and
pillow
you'll-
cube.
I should also mention that if you're about to take an opportunity attack yourself, the
Do you
game will
wonder what the
actually
price
let
point
you
was on
know
that?
this by showing you this red spearhead. So if you see that, you may want to consider a different way of
see, if you
moving
see
away
that
from
red,
your opponent.
Yeah.
That means
You
they're
may
going to hit
consider
you when you
using
try
the
to run away,
disengage
so
action,
that's
or
dangerous.
you may consider pushing the
I feel like
enemy
I've
if you
not
have a
noticed
decent
that.
Strength, and then you can just simply
Have you
walk
noticed
away.
that in the
I
game?
have
Or you may
noticed it
look to a
happening, yeah.
spell, such as a teleportation spell like Misty Step to teleport away. Moving on, there is a condition in this game that's called the surprised condition. And if an opponent is surprised, the game will skip their first turn in the first round of combat. And you can achieve this by attacking an enemy that is unaware of your presence. Simply attack them, and then you'll see the surprise condition above their heads. And the game will then bring it right back to your turn, skipping them all on their first round of combat.
Dang.
It's a great way to start an encounter when you're fighting enemies that you are sure that you want to attack. Also note that when combat begins, the game will do a behind-the-scenes calculation or roll that determines the order of turns for all combatants. Your character's dexterity modifier is added to this behind-the-scenes roll or calculation, so the higher that your dexterity modifier is, the more likely you are to go earlier in the order of turns. Moving on to the environment, not to be overlooked.
I think the main
Check out
thing
a
I learned
battlefield
is this
in its
game's too hard
entirety,
for
or even
me.
consider setting up a
Hey, listen-
battlefield or battleground
listen to
your
this.
advantage,
This is
as there
important.
are various ways to manipulate the environment in your favor.
The environment.
Blow up an oil barrel, shoot a burning chandelier down to the ground over your enemies' heads.
I never thought
Or
of
maybe
that.
shoot out the rope that is holding a concrete block for it to go smashing into the ground, killing several opponents, and also opening up a secret passageway. And the last
was
topic
wondering
of this
what that
video
crack
is
in the
going to be
floor
enemy
was.
resistances. When you inspect an enemy by right-clicking on them and hitting examine, or one of your characters, if there's something under the resistance column, you should take a look at that. For example, my character right here has resistance to fire damage, and therefore any fire damage that I take will be cut in half. If you see a red arrow pointing down,
Considering
that means
he's
that a
holding
creature
a flaming
is
sword, I
vulnerable
There
think
you
we
go.
could have
to
guessed
certain type
that.
of
I
Makes
don't
sense.
think I really
to
needed to
taking
check the
double of
notable
that type of
feature
damage.
or the
There's also some
resistances.
creatures that will
Excuse
be
me.
invulnerable. Your damage will be nullified if you use certain types of damage, so make sure to check this column. To know what type of damage that your weapon or your spell actually does, just look at the spell's description or the weapon's description. Guiding Bolt does radiant damage, and Shadowheart's Mace does bludgeoning damage.
cannot take the
Thank you
man
all
and
so
the
much
witch
for
that
watching. I hope
seriously.
this video was helpful, and plenty of more Baldur's Gate 3 content on the way, and also plenty of content already on the channel.
Cool.
Wow. All right. Well, hopefully
It wasn't not helpful,
Yeah.
but could have been a little bit more helpful if I was more the target audience.
a little bit more.
But I
tips,
learned a little.
little bit more tips and tricksy. There's
Yeah.
probably maybe other videos. Maybe we
Yeah.
look for another one next time for more tips.
I
and
think I
tricks.
need like a couple more videos and then I'll get back in it. And let me think about what I learned.
Okay.
I might make a list.
Team.